All right, here we are, day one, the Xactimate crash course, Xactimate boot camp. In here a little early, trying to get things set up. I'm gonna get my lighting set up. I'm gonna pause the recording right now and we'll start it in a second. So this is the first day of the Xactimate boot camp or Xactimate crash course or Xactimate whatever I called it over the last 3 years. This is the current iteration. Today is the 28th of July already, 2022. And this is day one. So we're going to get going here. I'm going to jump right into, obviously I had some notes, but now I'm going to switch up my notes on the fly because I want to go right into my background a little bit. And then I want to talk about profit. One of the biggest things I've been focusing on over the last year is how restorers can build in more profit. And the biggest point of that is the understanding that Xactimate doesn't accommodate for profit. Xactimate doesn't accommodate for overhead. They have places where you can put in things like 10 and 10, but the line items themselves do not have any profit or overhead built into them. So let's get into that. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to rock and roll. So over the next, I'm going to try to break every hour for about 5 minutes. But if you need to have a question that pertains to what I'm talking about, raise your hand and I'll leave the chat window open here. Hopefully I'll get you, or wait for that break and we'll answer the questions then. We're going to go for 4 hours today. I've done it before where I did like 2 hours at a time over 4 days, which was just too cumbersome in my opinion. I'm going to put another link right here. I'm going to paste the same link. The link in the chat is the class resources I'll be referring to over time. From time to time, you click on that. If you don't get in there, just ask for permission. I'll give you permission through Google. But those are the most of the resources I'm going to share. I'm going to double check that. What you don't have in there, oh yeah, you have them in there. So there's macros, there's a whole list of macros, a whole list of opening statements. There's a roofing estimate in there. You know, we got all kinds of good stuff, but let's learn how to use it first before we dive head first in. So, all right, let's do a share and get me here. Okay, we're sharing. All right. Just for you, so you guys know, we are live in the Restoration Rebel Facebook page. And yeah, there's Joseph Spears hiding in the shadows. And Sam, how do you see those resources? Well, you got to sign up for the class, brother. Sign up for the class. All right. We're going to talk about, let me come back over to my window here. Can everyone see the window? Where's my chat? Here's my chat. Just give me a yes in the chat if someone can see this window, and we will proceed accordingly. Anyone? No? Come on. There's Brian, you're answering in the Q&A, not the chat, but it's all right. I got you. Chat disabled. Well, that's a problem. Well, let's fix that problem right now. Let's stop my share and let's fix that problem. How do we enable chat for everyone? Show chat. No. No. Well, it's like I haven't ever used this program before or something. Come on. How do I enable chat? Panelists can chat with everyone. Okay. Attendees. Oh, here it is. Everyone. There we go. Now the chat should be on for all y'all. Bingo. All right, Brian, you are the man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your help. All right, let's come back over here. We're going to talk about baking in profits. This is the first thing I want to talk about because, in my opinion, this is the most important thing. Profit is the most important thing. If we don't have money, the leftover at the end of the day, why the hell are we climbing through sewage? Why the hell are we climbing through attics and sucking out insulation if we're not making any money at the end of the day? Let's make some profits. All right, here's me. This is me, Andy McCabe. Been in the industry for a long time. I've been trained by IICRC. I've been trained by ASCR, who is now RIA, by the way. That's how long I've been doing this. I've been a full-time Xactimate writer since 2012. Like I mentioned before we started recording, I run a company called Claims Delegates. We have 4 full-time Xactimate estimators right now. 2 of those guys can actually do SimBility, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like it. And super secret about SimBility, all they did before Safeco and Liberty decided to go to SimBility is take the Xactimate pricing, reduce it by 30%, and then say, here's our pricing. So if you have carriers and TPAs coming to you saying, will you do SimBility? Your answer should be, will you give me 30% more? Because that's how much they're shaving by using that program. So I begrudgingly translate things into SimBility for clients that have to do it, but I don't recommend it for anyone that wants to make money. And that's why we're here. We're here to make money. All right. So we're going to talk about markup. First thing first, markup. Why should I use a markup? Well, there's this thing called contracting. Contractors take their costs, add a markup, and then that becomes their invoice, becomes their bill. You should use a markup because Xactimate doesn't accommodate for profit or overhead. That's why you should use a markup. And are there rules to follow? A lot of people say, when I come to them and say, you should use a custom price list in Xactimate, they say, well, isn't that against the rules? Well, here's the answer. There are no rules. When you do work for an insured and you interact with their adjuster, does the adjuster send you a contract to say, these are the rules you should follow? No. Now, when you sign up for a TPA, you do have to follow the rules, and there are rules in that TPA system, like you will not change pricing. You will use the pricing as it's given to you. But if you're part of the TPA, then you have to follow those rules. But otherwise, there are no rules. The rule is you're a contractor. You need to stay in business. You need to make money. That's the rule. And you can charge whatever you want. We can all charge whatever we want. Here's an interesting book and website that I found called the Industry Standard Pricing Rules and Regulations. FYI, that book and that website does not exist. All right? Hashtag we know better. We know better. You will get adjusters. You will get carriers. You will get TPAs telling you why you're not using Xactimate pricing. Well, because Xactimate pricing isn't your pricing. Xactimate pricing is their pricing, but you didn't sign up for their pricing. You signed up for your own. You make your own, you run your own business, you dictate your own pricing. Right? You control the profit, you control your future. That's pretty much what I'm getting at here. We don't work for carriers. We work for insureds. And in order to do the best job we can for the insured, we need to be able to pay our bills and put some money aside and have some money left over at the end of the year to make it worth our while. Okay, so let's talk about margin versus markup. Margin is not markup. All right, I've got a piece of paper over here. Screw that. That piece of paper is coming up in a couple of slides here. It will show you what, in order to achieve a certain margin, you have to mark up a certain percentage. And the markup is not the same as the margin. The percentages are different. So let's do some rough math here. Your sales, which equals your revenue, minus your job costs, equals your gross profit, right? Your gross profit minus your business overhead equals your net profit. And our goal at the end of the year is to have an actual net profit. All right. So revenue minus your job costs minus your overhead divided by your revenue equals your profit margin. All right. Pretty simple stuff here, but you'd be amazed how many adjusters can't understand simple stuff. So here's a piece of paper I was about to go grab off of my bulletin board here. You can see here a margin. If you have a markup, let's go 10 and 10. 10 and 10 is 20% markup. 10 and 10, O and P, is a markup. If you mark up your costs by 20%, you have a margin of 16%. Right? So with 10 and 10, you're not making 20%. 10 and 10, best case scenario, you're making 16.67%. Okay? Here's a great, we had Ed Cross. If you don't know who Ed Cross is, he's the restoration lawyer. He's awesome. He grilled Bill Loveland. It's been 2 or 3 years ago, I know, I guess, maybe 4 years ago. I have no idea. And let me get the chat open here so I can see it. Thanks, brother. I like that meme. So I took this screen capture off of the video of Ed Cross grilling Bill Loveland. And at the end of the day, Bill said, you've got to have the nerve to charge what you need to charge. He's talking about markup. He's talking about job costing and putting in normal stuff, right? Oh, it was before. So it was 2019. 2019 is when that was. So at the end of the day, Loveland and the rest of Xactware understand that Xactimate is a job cost estimating platform. The only way to profit is to use a markup and an adequate markup. Okay. So what is a reasonable profit? Let's take your average business. There's a lot of restorers that have more than 20% overhead. There's a ton of them, but we're just using round numbers here. And when I was with the biggest restorer I ever worked for, Harbro, who now is Blue Sky, I believe, my goal running the Portland office, my goal at the end of the year was a 12% net profit. 12% net. That was my aim. So if you want to achieve something, you've got to aim for it at the front end. You can't just hope and dream for it, right? So the best way to get your needed overhead covered and your profit is to build it in the front end. You build in these margins with every estimate you write, every job you do. You have to get a 32% break-even margin at the end of the day, right? This is not job by job. This is business overall, right? There's a lot of guys out there to say, well, you got to get 35%, 35, 40% on repairs, gross profit on your job. Admit you got guys doing 65, 70%, 75% gross profit. But that's gross profit. That's a job profit, not a business profit. So don't get those things confused. So if we take these two numbers, we take this imaginary company and say they got a 20%. 20% of their revenue goes to keep the lights on, pay the insurance, keep cars on the road, put people in the office, things like that. And they need, in order to make their shareholders happy, in order to make the investors happy and the bosses happy, they've got to have a 12% net at the end of the year. You need at least 32% margin. All right. So what's that mean? What's 32% margin? Well, if you look at this piece of paper, look at this table, a 32% margin requires, 31.97 requires a 47% markup. All right. I'm going to pause here and let you reread that. If you need 32% to break even, and let's be honest, that is a break even. This number is break even. And one of my favorite guys in the whole world, Roger Howson, is an adjuster out of Seattle, longtime adjuster out of Seattle. He said 10 and 10 is only enough if additional markup is used. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about how much additional markup above the 10 and 10 do you need to stay in business? All right. So if you need 32% to break even, you have to mark up your work 47%. Well, what's 47% minus the 10 and 10? 27%. So I am assuming, because we work in this world of restoration and we work with these assumptions, these unwritten rules, like 10 and 10 is all you can get. If 10 and 10 is all I can, air quotes, get on my estimates, then I need to build in an additional 27% markup to my price list in order to break even on my business, right? All right, I got the chat open over here. I got the questions and answers open. So if you guys, some of this gets weird to you, just let me know and I'll backtrack and I'll answer those questions. All right. Here's one of my favorite memes that I've ever. I'm a meme machine, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. I like to do 2 or 3 or 4 a week. And the whole point for me is to build awareness that we are a lot of times we are following rules that aren't written anywhere, and they're written by people. They're enforced by people that don't have our best interest at heart. All right. 0% is the amount of markup that Xactimate builds in to any line item. And we can go, and I will go into an Xactimate estimate and show you there is no accommodation for overhead or profit in any item anywhere in Xactimate. This little section comes from the white paper from Xactware, the overhead and profit white paper. And do I need to read this? Should I read it? I'll read it. General overhead are expenses incurred by general contractor that cannot be attributed to individual projects and include any and all expenses necessary for the general contractor to operate their business. Don't be confused by the word general. It's contractor. You don't have to be a general contractor in order to make money, right? If you did, there wouldn't be any regular contractors out there. We're all contractors, and we all have to make money. The amount of overhead and profit is left to the discretion of the estimator. This is per Xactimate. The building cost data is not designed to be inclusive of sales tax, general overhead and profit, or job-related overhead and profit within unit pricing. This is from them. They just said it right there. They don't accommodate for the money, the profit and overhead that you need to run your business. All right. Xactware tells us to use our own margins. This is, I took this photo of Mr. Fulton, the guy at Xactware. And this was at the RIA last year, I think. We've provided tools to build in the appropriate margins for your business. And what he said was 100% markup may not be, right? May not be unreasonable, because you have different businesses have more overhead than others. And if your overhead is bigger than average, you need to have a bigger than average markup. All right. So now that we understand that you need to mark up your stuff, you need to mark up your pricing, I'm going to go into the Xactware pricing editor and show you exactly how to accomplish this. Now you can follow along. I invite you to follow along, actually. Log in using this link right here, pricing.xactware.com/editor. And we will show you how to build in the margins that you need to build in. Now I'm going to use this number. I'm going to use 47% for our imaginary markup that we need. And so if we assume that we're using 10 and 10, we're marking up everything 10 and 10, we're going to assume that 27%, we need 27% more markup. So that's what we're going to do right here. All right. Let me see if I can, will this change? Yes. Yes, it will. So I've done this several different ways, and with X1, it's become much easier to do. Any questions on that? I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to allow everyone to talk. So allow to talk. So if you've got a burning question, just interrupt me. Just interrupt me. We'll get into it. Okay. This is what you're going to see. I'm going to mute you though, unless you have something to say. Mute. Here we go. That goes over there. There we go. Okay. If it's everyone here that wants to be here and follow along, this will be recorded. Yes, tomorrow's will be recorded, and they will be available for you to review at your leisure going forward into perpetuity. But here I'm going to go to markets. Brian, do you have a current price list, or can we use Houston?
I don't think I have one that's published where everybody can see it. I have my own buried in there somewhere.
Well, let's just use you for an example. What is the market? What market is I'm going to hit plus here. I'm going to hit plus.
Texas, Houston.
TXHO.
Yeah, I think so. Or yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to name my new price list. I'm going to name it Houston Metro for fun.
Ho Metro, nice.
Ho Metro. Houston, Texas Metro area. Sorting order doesn't really matter. You can see all the custom price lists I have in my account. I have quite a few because different clients of mine require different markups. So we maintain those on behalf of our clients. I'm not sure if Hamlet, if you guys at Resto Clean have one or not, but okay. So when you go into, let me back up 1 second. Yes, I'm going to get out of this page. If you don't see this, if you don't see a linked Verus market, you haven't done this yet. You need to come into home. Wait, here, you need to go to your company here and add, I forget what it says before you do it, but whatever it says here, if it doesn't say remove Verus price list, you need to add Verus price list estimates. And then it will, I don't know what it does, import the data or something. But then it'll give you access to the rest of this. All right, we're going to do this again. We're going to do Ho Metro. Houston, Texas Metro area. And this is the TXHO. You have to link your custom pricing to the existing price list as Xactimate maintains it. Right there. All right. We have one. Ho Metro. There we go. Once it's created, we come down here. We're going to edit it. What you're looking for here, and when I first was teaching this class, I didn't understand all of it. I was doing it a different way. So this is a new way, but this, I believe, is the best way to do it. Go to publication factors. And I'm going to get into where the pricing comes from, Xactimate and everything like that in a second. But for now, I'm going to increase this across the board to build in. Remember, we need 47% markup to get our margin that we need. We're going to add 10 and 10 to our estimates. So we really only need 27% additional markup. See what I did there? All right. I'm marking up the material, equipment, and labor by 27% across the board. That will affect every single line item in Xactimate. And that's exactly what I want. I want it to do that so I know that my margins are baked in from the start. There we go. All right.
Question. When you do that and when you print it or you submit this to the adjusters, is it on that sheet, on that PDF? Does it tell them there's a markup?
It tells them what price list you used. It does not tell them what markup you used.
Does it
And you
change
wanna-
the line items green?
No, it does not.
Okay.
No, it does not. And you need to be in a position to be able to justify what you did. And so that's why we went through the exercise. You need to be able to tell the adjuster, hey, we've got an overhead of 25%, and we got to make a net profit of 12. So if you're only allowing me to mark this estimate up 10 and 10, I need an additional markup in the pricing. So that's what we did. And you don't be afraid to tell them we marked it up an additional 28%. We marked it up again, additional 30%. Have that conversation. And the more times you have that conversation, the easier it's going to be. Because their knee-jerk reaction is going to, well, you can't do that. And your question to them is going to be, why? Why can't I? Show me where in the policy says I can't do that. Show me in state law where it says I can't determine my own pricing as a contractor. Show me anything that says that I can't change the pricing. Because guess what? Oh, I didn't show you this. I will show you this. Let me come back in here. If you go to the Xactware user agreement, now I'm going way on. I'm a little bit off of my notes, but I think this is worth. Oh, la, 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 la. Oh, come on. Go. Claims delegates. Xactimate. White papers. This is I'm going to stop share. I'm going to reshare. Wait, I'm not going to reshare. I'm going to open this first. Xactware user agreement. All right, now I'm going to share. Share the user agreement. So you'll see on page, whatever, it prints out differently for different folks, page 3. Well, first it says Xactware does not warrant the accuracy of pricing information and price data. Price data are intended to be representative of historical information and labor pricing. You acknowledge and understand that price data provided as part of the services are intended to target the most representative price of various price points collected relevant to the specific line item in question. All right. Does not accommodate for pricing, market changes or anything. Oh, I had a highlight in here. Uh-oh, where's the highlight? All right, I pulled up a different one. It's in here. What? Oh no. Okay.
Sorry to cut in.
Sure, go ahead.
So I used the Xactware users agreement once with an adjuster, and it was in a highlight, and they said they just responded, your highlighted portion of Xactware's user agreement says nothing about anyone dictating pricing. It states agreement not to prohibit or preclude deviations when there are factors that warrant said deviations. You've given nothing to warrant deviations in the way of material supplier estimates or subcontractor bids. There are other contractors here, and we are well within our rights to obtain other estimates. I just wanted
they are within their rights to obtain with other estimates, but other estimates obtained for the purposes of settling an insurance claim have no relevance on your pricing.
And on top of that, these third-party estimates they're usually getting comparative bids from contractors have no intention nor ability sometimes to actually perform the work.
Correct.
So it's an invalid bid, and it's basically gobbledygook that they're using an excuse to not pay the claim.
Exactly. There it is. Okay, I'm gonna reshare here. Yeah, Jake, you got that dead on. You quoted the right section. You quoted the right thing, and here it is. You agree not to prohibit or preclude deviations from the price data where contractor requirements, market conditions, demand, or any other factor warrants the use of different line item price in a specific situation. Well, here you go.
That's what I use,
Contractor requirement. You're required to cover your overhead and make a profit. That's your contractor requirement. Market conditions, that plays into your need, your specific overhead for your specific business, in a large part is dictated by local market conditions. So you are not in a position to justify your pricing to anyone, except your client who signed your contract, and hopefully they signed your schedule of fees while they were at it. But in an open market, free market situation, you signed a contract, they agree to your pricing. That is it. The adjuster has no play. The adjuster has no influence on what you can and cannot charge. It's only between you and whoever purchased your services.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
just wanted to,
Yeah, they'll say everything. They will say everything because they are trained to do that. But their training and their internal guidelines have no pull in your business unless you allow it. Okay, let's get back. Let's finish up this pricing. Where was I? There it is, price list editor. Okay, so you've built in whatever markup, additional markup you think you need, right? We're working Ho Metro. So now when I publish this, come down here, we're going to publish the Ho Metro. Next, I've got a couple different licenses. So I'm going to select all my licenses. And then I don't know what this means, but okay. And here is where, if I'm printing this, if I'm republishing this price list to catch all the new things that Xactimate adds every month, right? I'm going to do this every month or every quarter. You need to give it a suffix. So what this becomes, and you can see we're still in Q3, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use Q3 22. Q3 22. Nope. So that what this becomes is your I'll show you what it looks like, but it's going to be Ho Metro Q3_22. That's going to be the name of the price list that's going to show up. Please publish. It takes a second. But that's it. And then at that point, all you got to do is go download that price list. So I'm going to come over here and stop my share. Can I share just my Xactimate screen? Let's see. Let's see if it pulls up. Oh. Let's just pull up. That's a new one. I didn't see that. What the? Let's just pull that one up. Oh, but you can't see it because it pulled it up in a different window. All right, let's share that window. Here we go. All right, going to go to claim info and parameters. And so you can see this is the custom price list I created and used for this particular estimate. OR mid-val Q3_22. That does not exist in the Xactware pricing database. I made that one, but we're going to request this price list by name. And we're going to put in what we just called this HO Metro Q3_22. Download. There it is. Boom. Pick a tax, whatever the tax is, doesn't matter. And I am not going to reprice this one. Go ahead.
8 1/4 pretty much everywhere in Texas.
Okay. All right. Well, That's why I'm not in Texas. Okay, not going to reprice, but that's it. That is the pricing. That is as complicated as it gets. Any questions on that?
Just real quick, I'm sorry, I missed it. You said every quarter or every month. How, so I'm used to doing it for the Xactimate price list that they provide you on a monthly basis. How do you update this to reflect the new, I guess, dollar amounts?
Once you set it up once, all you have to do is republish.
Okay.
So let's come back over here. So that's been published. So, keep in mind what we did. Where's my home metro? Here's my home metro. We changed publication factors. So what that means is every time you publish it, it's going to factor it by this number. Okay. So every time we come here to publish price list and we select our price list, it's going to build in that markup that we just put in, and we got to rename it. It won't allow me, if I were to do Q3 22 right here, it won't yet see, it won't allow me to do it because there's already a price list that exists with that suffix. Okay. So if you're going to do it twice in a month, you're going to have to, change the number and do that. But then that gets super confusing.
Sure.
So pick a nomenclature that you will remember and that makes sense to you. That's why we just went with Q3_22. It's going to be Q4_22. You get the quarter. You could just as easily do July 22. You don't have to use an underscore. I just do because that's what we're used to seeing in the Xactimate pricing. So I'm going to cancel out of this. Let me show you what that looks like when you use that price list. Well, actually, I just showed you, but I'm going to show you one more thing here. Let's get back into Xactimate here. Okay. And when I go to documents, reports, this is how you do all your printing. Documents, reports, and rough draft is fine. I'm going to make sure all this is selected. Yeah, fine. But when I hit preview, it doesn't share it. You can't see it. That's funny. Zoom. You're so smart, Zoom. Here we go. You can see right. Where's there it is. Right there. You can see the price list in the open and cover page of the estimate. So that's where it shows. And you can send that price list to the adjuster. They don't use it. They can't. So this is where you get to stand your ground and say, this is my price. And you can negotiate down from that, but I wouldn't try to negotiate. I wouldn't try to start at their price and negotiate up. It's a losing proposition. All right. All right. I think we did the banking in the profits. Now, quick break for questions.
Got a couple in chat for you.
Yeah, besides the global price changes, I've been tracking local market prices. Yes. Do not use. Wow. Okay. Should you drill down a specific line item modified before applying? Well, you want to make that's a great question. If you're doing that, if you're going through the trouble of doing that, you want to do it once, right? You don't want to do it every time you write an estimate. So I would do it in the pricing. I would do it in the pricing module in Xactimate. I would do it there. No, where's my window? Did I close it?
And would that be similar like for trades? For example, I've been surveying my sub trades and finding out what their hourly rate is. For example, plumbers are moving up to 125 an hour. It's their billable rate, but that's not what it's in Xactimate. And I don't want to have to do my markup every single solitary
No, I
one.
would.
So should we come in here and do that too? Labor component
Yeah.
pricing.
Right there. Yeah. Your plumber charges more? Come in here. And it's not allowing me to make any changes.
Interesting.
I wonder why. Maybe this is just informational.
I guess that'd be a question to send up to the pricing department, huh?
Okay, so that's just, that looks weird. It's all grayed out for me.
Yeah.
So I would come back to labor component pricing. You can't change it. Oh, there. Did I not? There's your price. Okay, so maybe you do it right here. Ah, okay. So you can see across all of my custom price lists, this is the, Suffolk County, New York, plumber's $204 an hour. Wow. Kentucky, they're cheap. Oh, wow. Cheap plumbers in Kentucky. Well, let's see if we can change it right here.
So right there.
Oh, we can. There we can. We can change it right there.
Okay. So we achieve the worker's wage. If I've done the survey, I find out what the hourly wage is, and then I take their overhead, or deduce that from the owner and put that in the overhead category, which will give the base rate. And then you save it in here in theory, and then you go to publishing and do the 20% markup on top of that, and should give you the number that you're charging.
Or if the right number is 180, 180. It just changed the overhead to accommodate for that. But now it's 180. All right, I'm going to do that one more time. So we can see that. I came to my markets, and most of you are only going to have one, 2 or 3 maybe. I'm going to click on my market. I'm going to go to labor component pricing. I'm going to go to the labor component I want to change. Oh, look, I can reset it right there. Let's reset electricians while we're here. Let's come back up to electricians. I'm going to click on that. Oh, I see what I did. I clicked in the wrong spot. You got to click on the number. That'll bring you over here. You see what electricians are across the board. And I'm going to change my electrician. I want him to be at 180. There. That's it. So that is not factored. That's the non-factored number, I think. But regardless, that's now in, when you go to publish this, it'll be in that.
So that's
Okay.
where we had also put in for our various labor categories, our fully loaded labor burden is where we'd modify it there.
Mm-hmm. And then your caulking number, you go to material pricing.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to find it.
Caulk. There it is, P&T caulk.
And then if you have one that you like to use, that's $6. Set price to, you said $6.99.
Yep.
There you go. Boom. $6.99 a tube. There we go.
By the way,
So
that's a big stretch.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Right.
I've gotten in trouble recently because I'll put trim in and then I'll put caulking and they say, oh, PNT B2 includes caulking. But then when I look at caulking itself, wouldn't PNT B2 be whatever, like it's priced at $1.66 where I'm at, and caulking comes to $2.72 a linear foot, wouldn't PNT B2 be no less than adding those together at $4.38?
No, no. I'll get to, we're going to touch on the components here in a couple sections. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
remind me when we get there, and we'll use that as an example. Okay. I'm going to now we're going to break to what I call, I'm going to get this over here, the bucket of money. Can I minimize that? Yes. At the end of the day, when we're estimating, not mitigation is a different animal. Mitigation is invoices, costs incurred. But when we're estimating, what we're really doing is creating a bucket of money. All right, let me share that bucket of money. Here we go. Is that small? It feels small. I'm going to blow it up. Okay, so like I just said, emergency services mitigation, that's an invoice. That is not an estimate. That is a cost incurred. You have a contract, you have a schedule of fees. Hopefully, if you don't have a schedule of fees, see me after class. We'll hook you up. And you had a contract to do a specific thing for somebody for a specific price. You did that thing. Now you're charging for that thing. That's a cost incurred. It's not an estimate. It's not negotiable. It's not a negotiable document. And the adjuster cannot tell you to lower your pricing or reduce your scope to suit their needs because it's already incurred. The work's already been done. But on the repair side, on the actual estimating side, you create an estimate, right? You agree on what the scope of the loss is. You write the Xactimate estimate, and you use that Xactimate estimate, which is a claim settlement tool, claim settlement document, to settle that claim. That creates what I call the bucket of money. What you and the insured does with that bucket of money is largely up to them. The adjuster can't tell you how to spend that money. They want to try. They will try every single day to tell you what you can and cannot spend that money on. But in reality, it's a claim settlement. It's a bucket of money. 9 times out of 10, your contract is going to match that total of that bucket of money, right? But usually when you get into a job, there are changes. Sometimes there's changes right up front. And so you put together an actual repair scope. And if it doesn't match what the settlement document says, you have to write a change order. At the end of the day, we're all contractors. You don't make a change to a scope without actually also writing a change order to your contract. Because right now your contract says $100,000, but your actual repair scope is 120. You have to write a change order for that 20, right? And some of that is going to be covered under the loss. Some of it may not be, maybe upgrades or whatnot. But that bucket of money is what we're going for. When we're writing Xactimate, all we're doing is trying to create a fund to fund the work that we think needs to get done. Okay. The supplements are things that are covered, should be covered, unforeseen things. You get the roof off and the sheathing's rotted out. Well, that's a supplemental cost. You've got to replace the sheathing. You can't put a new roof over old rotted sheathing. It's a supplement to the claim. You write that supplement at the same time you write the change order, and you change your contract via change order, and you supplement the difference back to the insurance company for additional funds. Okay. Any questions on the bucket of money?
So another term for bucket of money is you're trying to set reserves, correct?
Well, that's what the adjuster is trying to do. The adjuster is trying to set reserves.
Because the reason I say that maybe for some in the audience is because I've heard that term used with me before I knew what it was. So that's why I want to make sure so we can translate adjusterese.
Yeah. So early on in the claims process, adjusters are tasked with setting the reserves, which means what the total loss is going to be. And usually that reserve is set before that Xactimate estimate is created. So they have to do a ballpark up front and early. And it's better for them if they set the reserve higher than it actually turns out to be, because changing the reserves to accommodate for an extreme increase is frowned upon, to say the least. You know, people get in deep trouble for not setting adequate reserves, because there's a lot of legal stuff that happens on the carrier side. You know, once that reserve is set, the money comes out of, you know, it goes into the general fund, but is earmarked for that loss. And, you know, there's a lot of reinsurance and stuff that goes on. You know, if that number is not high enough and they got to go back to the well, no one's happy at that point. So I would say the reserves are set before this Xactimate estimate is created.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's talk about Xactimate. What the heck is this thing? We're dancing around it. We're all been using it, right? But I would argue that few of us really understand why. Why do we use this strange thing? Why can't we just do what contractors do and figure out what their costs and their labor is going to be and put a markup on it and go out the door and write that contract? Short answer is you can do that. There's no requirement that says if you're doing insurance repair work, you have to use Xactimate. As a matter of fact, if you're insured with Safeco or Liberty, they're using a completely different program. They're using Symbility. So I'm going to ask some rhetorical questions here. Is using Xactimate a guarantee that you're going to get paid? No, it is not. Is using Xactimate legally required? No, it is not. No state law, no policy in the land says you will use Xactimate. None of them do. Is Xactimate needed to sell or close jobs? No, it is not. Xactimate is not a sales tool. If you're using Xactimate because you think you're going to get more work or the work is going to be easier to get paid, you're barking up the wrong tree, because it's not required, and you're just confusing the issue. Is Xactimate used outside of restoration? No, it is not. Despite the fact there's Exact Remodel and there's some other stuff, to a large degree, Xactimate is not used outside restoration. And we could argue and philosophize over why that is for a long time. But at the end of the day, the Xactimate estimating platform is not a requirement to do insurance work. All right. You can provide great services and make good money and never use Xactimate. There are people doing it right now. There's a lot of people doing mitigation and repairs outside of Xactimate. They're getting paid what they're charging, what they contract for every day, and they're not using Xactimate. So don't fall into the trap that you have to use this tool. Now, I'm a big fan of Xactimate. I like Xactimate. I understand Xactimate, and I can make my clients money in Xactimate. But that doesn't mean it's required. Okay. When people sue insurance companies, Xactimate never goes on trial because it's not an issue. You know, you might have some adjusters telling you have to use Xactimate, but that's an issue with that carrier and that adjuster. It's not an issue with Xactware or Xactimate. Okay. No policy mentions Xactimate or even estimating. No policy mentions estimating or how you should estimate losses. They don't. There's no standard for that. We're still very much in the wild west. And so it's on you to know your pricing, know your costs, and stand your ground. That's what it comes down to. But Xactimate is a great cost estimating tool. And if you know your margins, like we just discussed earlier, and you build those margins in, Xactimate can be an amazing tool for you. Okay. Where does the pricing come from? Let's open up an Xactimate estimate and look at something for an example. Here we go. This happens to be a dentist's office that had some major storm damage. Let's just pick a room. Let's pick a door. All right. So every component, almost every component in Xactimate has 3 different parts to it. One is the labor, one is the material, and one is the equipment. The equipment would be fans or nail guns or compressors or things like that. Material is self-explanatory. It's what material is. Xactware gets the material quotes and material pricing generally from Lowe's and Home Depot databases. And they do some interviewing of contractors, and they do some pricing feedback. But to a large degree, the major big box stores determine where Xactimate puts that pricing. And in my experience, with a little bit of lag time, let's be real, the pricing increases we saw in labor earlier last year were just stupid, and there was no way anyone was keeping up. So the only way to keep up was to do it manually. You had to keep up on your pricing for materials by changing it yourself. But to a large degree, Xactimate does a pretty good job of getting what the middle of the market is for materials. And equipment they got Sunbelt Rentals. They have a couple different databases they tap to get that information. But labor is broken into 3 different parts. One is the wages. What do people pay their folks? The other is the burden, and that's the biggest question mark. And the burden is where a lot of folks say, well, there's your overhead and your profit. It's in the burden. Because if we go into, let's just open this sucker up. So here is a door. It's an interior barn door, fancy. We're going to click on this price here, and we're going to click on the I right here. These are the components that go into this particular item. I don't see any equipment in there. Yeah, they don't have any equipment. But like I just said, material, equipment, labor. And you can change things with market conditions if you feel fancy. But you dig down further. There's a little button here that says details. You can see per door, they've figured $229 in labor. They figured $405 for the door itself and $20.45 for the knob, the latch, I guess. And you can keep digging down and seeing, all the stuff that goes into what comes up to the end of the day. This is a $655 line item. Okay, $425 for material. We can see that right there. $229 for labor. How much labor did they figure? Direct yield 0.75. So they said it's going to take a guy 0.75 hours to do that. Or is it 0.42? Honestly, I don't know which one it is, but it's in there. You can see this is the mechanics. This is how they come down to how they price these things. So let's look at the labor up here. There's a wage, $61 an hour, plus a burden, plus the overhead. That's a big overhead. Wow. But burden and overhead are things like workers' comp. Workers' comp is gigantic. And I don't, depending on what your factor is, your risk factor, I forget what the term is. You could have a 1.5 factor where for every dollar that you spend on your wage, you're spending $1.50 on workers' comp insurance. That's a real number. That's not an insignificant number. And just because you're paying $1.50 for every dollar you pay your guy doesn't make that $1.50 accommodate for your profit or your overhead. There is no profit or overhead in here. This is labor overhead, which is not business overhead. This is labor overhead is workers' comp, insurance, health insurance, benefits, phones, uniforms, everything that goes into having a guy that makes $61 an hour, keeping him hired. And it's not unrealistic. I mean, look at this number. There's 160-ish dollars per hour on a guy that's $61 an hour. And this is probably not what he gets paid either. Let me come in here. Let's edit this. Here's where your labor assumption is. So he assumes, I'm going to back up. I'm not going to go into this one. I'm going to go to, you can see under supporting events, I'm just going to select this room, supporting events. This number over here, this percent, is how efficient that individual is. So that's bringing up the entire price list, it looks like. Or all the labor that's involved in this particular estimate. That's what it's bringing up. So 40%. What that means, let's go to our framer. Was it F&C labor? Whichever it was, doesn't matter. Out of an 8-hour day, 43% of his day, Xactimate says, is not productive time. So Xactimate assumes how much work a guy is going to get done in a given day. And there's telling us right here, 43% of that guy's day is not productive time. He's driving back and forth. He's taking a break. He's doing other things that are not directly involved with putting in that door or whatever it was. And you can see how different trades have different efficiencies that Xactimate assumes. Now, I don't think that a finish carpenter is that less efficient than a cleaning labor person. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go in and change these yields to more adequately reflect the reality of the work environment. So let's look at cleaning labor. You see what it says right here. Right there. He's saying, Xactimate telling us that 20% of that laborer's day, 8-hour day, is wasted time, not productive time. Labor assumptions based on an 8-hour day with 5 minutes of planning, 60 minutes total drive time and material pickup, 20-minute breaks, 15-minute setup and cleanup tools and equipment, and debris removal and floor sweeping or vacuuming in the immediate workspace. This is not final cleaning, by the way. You have adjusters say that's final cleaning. It is not final cleaning. Independent of any final cleaning at the end of the job. That's a recent addition to that description, actually, in the last 4 months, that the words independent of any final cleaning at the end of the job was added. Thank you, Xactware, for finally doing that. But depending on the market you're in, 60 minutes is not enough time, right? 20, they're required to take 30 minutes of break in a day, and Xactimate's only given us 20. Okay, so we are well within our rights to start changing these numbers. And I say it's 0.33. So let's see how that changes our estimate. I'm going to get out of this estimate because it's big, but you can see, we're going pretty deep into the weeds on this pricing thing, but I think it's important for you to understand how these things come together. No, I do not want to save changes. Oh, of course. Well, I'm going to open up a brand new estimate. And here's a smaller one. Here's a smaller MIT I can share with you guys. So we got a grand total right here of 5177. But if we're going to start messing with labor efficiencies, what I invite you to do is get familiar with this report, your documents report, this report right here, components. And we're going to go through this once we write. Tomorrow, we're going to write something and we're going to do this report and we're going to use this report to inform our general conditions and supervision and things like that. But for our purposes right now, let's just take a look at, oh, shoot, it won't. All right, I'm going to share my entire screen, but keep in mind, I have a 42-inch flat screen here, so it may not work well with where you're sitting, but there's my whole screen. So I'll blow this one up a little bit. Oh, that's too big. Oh, hey, what do you know? This is for R&R. Huh. What are the odds? Okay, I'm rolling down. This is the components report. So this is telling me this is my budget for labor. I budgeted 54 hours of labor for this project. I don't know if it's enough, but let's go back in here and change some efficiencies. Estimate items, supporting events. You see this cleaning labors down here at 20%. Let's change it to 33. Oh, 0.33. And let's change our water labor to 0.33. Okay. Just changing those two efficiencies by not much, like 10% maybe, 13%. Let's see what that does to the components report. What do we have? Someone remember 54? It's right here, 54.33. All right. What the? Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Had a equipment malfunction there. Okay, so we got 54.33 hours. We've ran the report the first time. We changed some efficiencies. Let's see how many more hours we added. Not much. 54.77, which is okay. That's fine. We changed the efficiencies. We half an hour we added this estimate, but that should demonstrate to you how this works. Not only the price of the, not just the wage, not just the overhead, but the yield, the labor yield plays into how these pricings, how Xactimate pricing is arrived at. Okay. Any questions
Andy,
on that?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the next thing, I know you're using as a sample. Would this also be a case of doing the drop down changes, or am I skipping ahead to the actual people performing the work? For example, if I'm on a MIT job, I'm not bringing in a separate demo labor. It's my MIT technician that's doing the demo. Shouldn't we change that category to them? And does that also impact those factors? I know it's going to impact the cost.
It does. It does. It keeps the labor yield. So for instance, if you've got, you're doing carpet extraction. Well, that's a bad example. Yeah.
Two foot flood cut in this instance versus to being done by a demo laborer versus clean R.
Let's just do it here.
Because on my job, it's going to be a clean R doing most of the things except for specialty trade stuff.
I'm going to just do a new project, create. Where's our hoe? Let's use our hoe. Oh, I can't find it. Doesn't matter. Let's use Bend, Oregon. That'll be our pricing. Okay, there's no sales tax in Oregon. Let's do a 2-foot flood cut. WTR. Oh God, am I blanking? It's drywall. It's DRYLF. Nope. Yeah. Okay. That took me a second. So we got 2-foot flood cut. Let's do 500 linear feet for funsies. And it says you're using CLNR. That's a cleaning restoration technician labor, which is the right one, right? But
Yeah, I guess I gave a bad example. I'm trying,
Yeah.
I don't remember which categories where it defaults to demo. I apologize for that.
it's all right. Clean R. Where does it? Well, roofing is one of them. 300.
That'd be a better example. Sorry.
Yeah, let's do 50 squares. Okay, so you can see here, yeah, it's a good point, Brian. I think it bears going into. By default, Xactware assumes which trades are doing which functions. And on the roofing trade, for instance, you can see right here, it assumes that a demo guy, it uses demo labor for removal of that roof, which is impossible because you can't get a demo guy on a roof legally. You can't insure him to do that. You get a temp guy up there, they're gonna come down hard on you because you don't have enough workers' comp in place, you don't have enough insurance in place. End of the day, roofer is the one doing the tear off. So using a lesser labor rate is not accurate, and it's just sloppy. So by and large, every roof estimate I write, we change this to RFG. But let's just look at the efficiencies now that we're on that. Let's do a report real quick. Components report for 500 squares.
You didn't okay it.
Oh, I was like, that's weird. There. So we got
You
20.
still didn't okay it.
What the what?
Go back to the estimate.
Oh. What? Estimate items. Oh, thanks. Now I can. Okay, what the hell? Okay. No, I don't want to resequence line items. That's a good thing to do, though. Every time you print, you should resequence, except for when you're doing a supplement. Okay, so there's materials, equipment. Okay. So pay attention to these two numbers. 52. I think this is going to stay open if I do another one. So 52 hours of demo labor, 58 hours of roofing labor, give or take. Now we're going to change we're going to do this and change it to the proper one. It's going to change the total. Right now we're going to total 28,688, but we're going to change it to RFG. Just bumped it from 28,000 to 36,000. And let's do a components report to see what changed there. It didn't change the efficiencies. Okay, so we had a total of 110 hours, 110.65. The total is the same. It just changed who was doing that function. So it changed the pricing, but it did not change the yield. So Xactimate doesn't change the yield based on which labor trade you're using, which is interesting. Okay, so yeah, it's incumbent upon the estimator, you guys, that your estimate reflects the actual work being done. And if the actual work being done is by a roofer, not a demo guy, then you need to put the roofing trade in there. And we'll touch on that when we write our estimate tomorrow. Okay. We're an hour and a half in. Anyone need a break? maybe not.
Take
We can
5.
we can keep barreling down the road here. Where's my Q&A? Chat. All right, we're gonna keep working. We'll keep rocking and rolling here. Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit more about Xactimate theory. Okay. In order to write in Xactimate, we need 3 things. We need documentation, right? We need photos. Mainly is photos. We need measuring. We need a way to quantify how big things are, lengths and widths and heights and all that stuff. And we need a scope. How are we going to scope this thing? What items do what functions, what jobs do we need to do within that job to get it done correctly? All right. So documentation, measuring, and scoping. My favorite documentation tool is Matterport because it is so good. Because Matterport does 2 things at once. It gives me my documentation, my photos, my as-built conditions, my reality as I saw it when I was there, and it gives me the ability to do measurements. I can pull my measurements off of my Matterport, and I don't have to get a tape measure out. You know, there was a long time in my career where I had a notepad like this and a tape measure. I started with a tape measure. I wasn't fancy enough to have a laser tape back then. And this is all I had. And I didn't have a Polaroid camera. But what did we have? We have digital.
SD cards.
Whoa, say that again.
Those SD cards.
SD cards.
Yep.
Yeah, we had the original digital cameras. You had to pull the cards out. Yeah. Early on, we transitioned out of we used to have Polaroid cameras. And so you'd have to be super efficient, right? I mean, you didn't want to take 200 photos of a job site because the file would just physically be too big. So I'm going to go through a couple of my favorites. On the MIT side, we've got the 24-hour tech, which is the mitigation system I wrote, which looks a little something like, oh, I don't have it up yet. Let me pull up over here. Water docs. When I was with Service Master of Scottsdale, I don't know if it will surprise you to learn this or not, but Service Master did not have a system, did not have a documentation system. This was before Encircle and Mica and Dash and iRestore and all those other things. So I was forced, I'm trying to make my way back to this window so I can share it with you. I was forced to come up with a system on my own because when you're the general manager, estimator, project manager, and chief bottle washer, you can't physically be at every single loss to do everything. You have to rely on your technicians. But if you don't have a system for your technicians to work within, it's almost impossible. So I came up with this, the 24-hour tech. And it's just a system like anything else, but it allows you to get in a rhythm and do things the same way every single time without missing what I need. So reminder, I needed documentation, I need measuring, and I needed scope. I needed a way to write invoices in Xactimate without having to go to every single job site and get the information. So, basic job information was in here, daily report, but this is the heart and soul of the mitigation system that I came up with, 24-hour tech. And it's simple, straightforward, but it's elegant in a way that it allows the technician to fill it out quickly and efficiently, and get me as the estimator enough information to do my job. The perfect documentation system is easy to use. It's clear to the user and the end user, the estimator, and it has the ability to be done before the technician leaves the job site. So this is the mitigation side. What I use on the repair side, repair estimates, is, oh, we've got Xactware up here, is this. Very similar to this, except for on the repair side, I want more room for the technician or the person doing the scope takeoff to write in. So you give them a framework to write in, but you don't tell them what to write. If we were to try to create a tick sheet like this for every possible item in Xactimate, it would be a book, because there's 250,000 line items in Xactimate. We're not going to get a tick sheet to encompass it all. So I just use something general. This is what I use. And you don't have to use that, but let's look at Matterport. Let's go into, let's share my screen one more time. I keep losing myself here. Here we go. I got Matterport up in here. This is a job that I actually have. I'm a public adjuster as well in Oregon and Washington. And this is a job that I am currently working on. So every job that I do or I'm a part of, I insist that there's a Matterport done, because the very few other platforms will give you the ability. Let me make this. If I go full screen, will I lose you? Can you guys still see that? Yeah, we can play in here. Very few platforms give you the ability to build a model like this that I can then go into and start measuring things. Let's measure that door. Let's do the outside trim. That door is roughly, yeah, it's not perfect. But this I did with a Ricoh 360. Ricoh Theta V. I did not do this with the big Matterport camera. But as you can see, I am able to do not only this, but I'm also able to get floor plans. Hold on a second. Where's my floor plan? There it is. So here is nearly perfect floor plan of the house we just saw over here. Xactimate gave me this, and then I can underlay this into Xactimate. We're going to get to an image underlay tomorrow. We're not going to touch on that today. But this is, as far as documentation goes, the state of the art. There is just very few systems that do it better than Xactimate, right? You see someone's closet here. All right. Let's go to, let's go to Hover. For exteriors, I love Hover, because as with Xactimate, or as with Matterport, I can order an Xactimate sketch file. I don't have to measure anything. I don't have to draw anything. I just pay Matterport for my sketch file and it comes and I import it into Xactimate and it's magic. Same thing with Hover for exteriors. Hover will give me, I took all these pictures here with my phone while I was on site doing this inspection using the Hover app. And Hover built me this. And not only did they build me this, but they sent me the Xactimate sketch file for this. So, I mean, I don't know how many of you have seen a Eagle View report, but it looks a lot like this. And I think you can get an Xactimate sketch file from Eagle View now too. But, you know, regardless of what you use, it's important that you get high fidelity data that is accurate and useful. This is extremely useful for me, writing not just roof estimates, but siding estimates. It gives me all the trim measurements. It gives me everything, and that all comes into Xactimate. So between Hover and Matterport, I've got most of my bases covered for what I need as an estimator. And for as far as Matterport goes, you can do it with, let me grab my camera. Where is it? Oh, it's over here. So this right here is a Rico. This is the Theta V. I believe Mr. Roush is using the Z1, right? This is a spherical 360
Yes.
camera. So this plus a tripod will do amazing things. Well, it does what I just showed you, that house. I did all with this. There are, for instance, Chicago Fire and Water in Chicago has 40 actual Matterport cameras. Matterport camera is about this big. If I hadn't loaned mine out, I'd show you right now, but it's about this big, you know, size 14 shoebox. It sits on a tripod. It spins around. It's got lasers. It does all kinds of cool stuff. And the data coming out of the Matterport camera itself is really good, but this is what's called good enough. This will do the job. And so if you're not using something like this, pick one up, play with it. If you're doing more than 10 jobs a month, it's worth it. If you're doing one job a month, maybe you wait, but it's just, this is the state of the art. This is where the industry is going. Every claim is going to have a Matterport or something like that. There's DocuSketch, there's other things on it. Okay, so documentation, measuring, Hover, Matterport, Eagle View, or hand drawn, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter to me as an estimator how I get the information. If I get a roof or siding sketched on this, I can use it to build my Xactimate. The problem is hand drawing anything more than 2 or 3 rooms is really time consuming. Right? People, you know, number one complaint is, oh, it takes too much time. It's too expensive. Well, does it really though? Because if I scan something into Matterport, it's there forever. I don't have to measure anything. I don't have to make sure that my chicken scratching is legible to anyone else. It's just a better way to do it. You know, I will never go back to hand drawing, you know, if I can avoid it. You know, there might be some time where, I don't know, there's a nuclear explosion and no electronics work, and I got to estimate using, you know, flint and steel or whatever. Anyway, I'm getting off subject. Okay. So scoping I went through scoping already. Okay. Yeah, that's the Rico Theta. This is the V. Like I said, I would get the Z1. And they're going to come out with a new one soon. The other thing you can do is if you've got a camera, an iPhone, a Pro version of the 12 or the 13 with the LiDAR, you can get a fancy little thing like this. This comes from Matterport. This is a tripod adapter, for, make it goes together somehow, but you can do Matterport scans with this, with your phone. But in order to do it, you've got to hold it still and you got to move precisely, do a bunch of this. So Matterport said, hey, we're going to do you a favor. We're going to have an automated way to line up your shots in Matterport using a phone. So all kinds of cool toys. And at the end of the day, I'm lazy. If I can do it quicker and less time and less effort on my part, I'm going to do it. I'm going to leverage technology. The other thing about, if you're doing everything by hand, this is not very shareable, right? I got to scan it in, I got to email it, I got to fax it, or I can just send a link to a Matterport, send a link to a Hover, send a sketch file, automatically download it. I just like being lazy. I like technology. So let's talk about, once we have this documented, once we have, I think I'm moving ahead of schedule today. It's good. Main advantage of the Matterport Pro 2 are the add-on services. Well, yeah. So the house I just showed you guys, I scanned with this. I can't order an Xactimate sketch file using this, right? I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to come in here, go to add-ons, and go to True Plan and get. It will not let me do it, right? It says here, scan the space with a higher resolution device. So that means I didn't use the Pro 2. I didn't use the LiDAR camera on my phone. I cannot order this from Xactimate. But what I can do is an image underlay. Right? Let's just do that. I'm going to skip right to that. Okay. All right. I'm going to show you that, how I did that. So let's say you didn't have a schematic floor plan. This is what I did. I'm going to go in here. So I came in here to my floor plan. I'm going to make this big. Sorry for those on a smaller screen. Oh, I got too many windows open now. Oh, I've got to go into edit first. Edit. There we go. So if I do a measurement right here, an image underlay is a function in Xactimate that allows you to lay an image, exactly what it means, lay an image under the sketch and then trace over the top of it. Okay. So if I set a scale line of 20 feet here, which I did, and then I take a picture of that and make sure that it shows measurements. Oh. Oh, yeah, it messed me up. There we go. So I laid a 20-foot line here and I took a picture of this. Okay. And then what I did, let's come back to Xactimate. Went in my sketch, went into, let's do a new level here. Level 4 and options and import underlay image. I'm going to pause here so you can keep up if you're following along on your own Xactimate. I went into sketch, went into options from tools, and I went import underlay image. And since I just did this 2 days ago, it's already coming up. Let's import this one. When you import an underlay image, Xactimate says, okay, what's my scale? How do I know what the distances are? So I make this full blown, make this big. I zoom in to the scale line that I took a picture of, and I click here, and I click here. There. And I say that is 20 feet. Hit OK. And there is my underlay image. It's just an image. There's no room there. But now, if I hit R and get a room in here, I'm gonna sketch, let's sketch this bedroom. I'm zooming in. I'm gonna lay this here. There's a little button here that you can turn on and off the tracing. Right. So I just drag it out to approximate my room. And I need to mention something. When you're estimating, it's not called perfecting, okay? There is no such thing as a perfect estimate, all right? You're going to get close enough to do the job, and that is going to be good enough. Whether or not you have an adjuster come back to you and say, that room wasn't 13 foot too, it was 13 foot. Say, fine, okay, 13 foot. I'll make it 13 foot. That's it. There's no ego involved there. I was off. My underlay image was off by a little bit. I didn't set my scale correctly, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as perfect. Just get it close enough. Just get it close enough. And I skipped over this whole page in my notes here, so I'm going to just talk about it real quick. After I stop sharing. Okay. I think in the emails and everything, when you signed up for this class, it's pretty much known. This is not a complete course. I'm not expecting you to come out of this course being Xactimate level 1, 2, or 3 certified. That is going to take time. You're going to just have to use the system. You're going to know enough to be dangerous, and that is fine too. Use it, get in, mess around, get messy with it. Make different copies of the estimates you're working on so you don't mess up your work version, right? Make another version, duplicate it so you can play around and do some other things. Practice and mistakes are how you are going to learn. Practice and mistakes is how I learned. I've been saying it for a while. I think it takes about 4 years of real regular usage of Xactimate to get good at it. That's a long time. And you don't have 4 years to wait before you start cranking these things out. So just crank them out. And you're going to be slow. Just accept you're going to be slow. Accept that things are going to take you longer. I mean, you're going to see me bing, 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 jump all over the place and move real fast. That's just because I've been using it for a long time, over a decade. So, and the other thing, don't fall in love with any estimate. I saw a quote a while back, and I think it's apropos to this. Things will never be perfect. Be the butcher. The butcher doesn't fall in love with a cut of meat, right? What's the butcher do? The meat comes in the back door. He cuts it, slices it, wraps it, pushes it out the front door. He's not in love with that piece of meat. That's just his job. Cut the meat, wrap it up, get it out the door. Because it's more important that you get something out the door to talk about. You get something in the adjuster's hands to talk about and negotiate with than waiting weeks to get something that's perfect that you're going to mess with anyway, right? The adjuster's never going to be happy with your number, especially if you're using custom pricing. The adjuster's never going to be happy with your number anyway. So it's never going to be imperfect. Don't fall in love with it. This is not art. This is work. This is estimating. Estimating by its very nature is imprecise and imperfect. Cool? I think that we covered it. All right, let's get back into, I want to get this room sketched, and we're going to talk about the room variables, how Xactimate nuts and bolts work. I'm going to share my screen back. Is this full screen working for you guys? I hope it is. So here's my room. I don't know how tall that ceiling was, but thank goodness I have Matterport. Oh, that's the bathroom. That's not the room I was in. Let's come back in here. Oh, wait, I did the bedroom, didn't I? Oh, yeah, that's the bedroom. Okay, this room has a funky ceiling. This is a sloped ceiling. In my estimate, I ignored this. I ignored this window, this bay window here, because in the grand scheme of things, it didn't play into the scope at all. So it didn't matter whether or not I had this window in here perfectly. So I didn't sketch it. But it does matter if I'm going to paint this room, how tall these ceilings are. So let's come back in here. I think I already measured them. Yeah, there's my measurement. So it's 11.6 by 7, so 8 foot. It goes from 8 foot to 11.6. All right, that's the information I needed. We're going to come in here, double click, go to properties. Ceiling type is going to be sloped. And my short wall was 8, and my tall wall 11.5. Okay, good. Except for here, if we go to 3D view, we can see that it's not sloped the right direction according to our plans. So what we do here, let me minimize that. Nope. Is go back to our tools here and change our orientation of this room. This orientation right here. There. And then, is this wide enough? This house was built in 1985. I think it's got extra thick walls. I really do. Interesting. But let's okay, this is quick and dirty, but I'm going to delete this. Yes. I'm going to import the actual schematic that I got from Matterport. Import underlay image. Oh, we still got to set our scale. Okay, 17. We got to pick a number that we can live with. This is the one drawback of not being able to get Xactimate floor plans or sketches directly. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to pick a different one. Import underlay image. Let's do that one. Is that the one? No, it's not the one. Doesn't matter. Is there a number that I can pick to use to set my scale? Okay, this says 10'6" by 13'11". I'm assuming this long one is the 13'11". So that means 10'6" of this. Doesn't feel right. It's all right. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, Andy, that looks right. What you're
Yeah,
saying.
I'm just wondering about this area in here might have been played into it, but all right, 10'6" ish. Okay, 10.5. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm going to delete this room. Now we're doing advanced stuff with this this gave me fits. There's a stairway, there's an angle, but let's do a square room. Because for our purposes today, all we need is a square room. Okay, I'm laying this over. I'm going to turn that. Okay, there. And let's say this dining room comes all the way out here. There. I double click on it and rename it dining room. I think those are 8-foot ceilings. I'm pretty sure they're 8-foot ceilings. Yep, 8-foot ceilings. Okay. Okay, here we can start putting in our different variables. Let's put a door in here. Hit D for door. I'm just doing this so I can get to the room variables lesson I'm trying to teach here. I'm not doing this for accuracy today. So one thing when you're putting in doors and windows and openings, it's important to see whether or not Xactimate is counting that opening as part of the square footage of the walls or not. You can see that by double clicking on the door itself and seeing what it says here. Doors down. Deduct door. There's a question. Yes. Deduct door is set to yes. You can deduct it to no. And that means it's not going to take that square footage of that door out of the calculation for that room. So let's just so we got a door. I'm going to hit M for missing wall. And I'm going to drag that all the way out there. M again and get rid of that wall because reality says there's no wall there. Okay. So we cut the wall off here-ish. We got rid of this wall. So now we're going to talk about room variables. Let's take a look at, you can see I've got that. That's not very precise. I mean, this is fully missing, but once again, I'm not in love with it. I'm not going to marry it. I'm just going to get it done and move it out the door. I think I can double click on this and say this opening goes to the ceiling. Yes. When you're in Sketch, we're going to touch on this again tomorrow, but everything is adjustable in properties. So you'll see this little guy come up here, or you just double click, it'll pull up the properties window. You pull up all the properties. So in this room, it'll tell us there's 280 square foot of walls. There's 502 square foot of walls and ceilings. Ceiling is 221 square. You can see all this, 221 square foot of floor. And we can start doing it fancy stuff when it comes to rebuild estimates and putting in, like if we say this floor is framed, Xactimate's going to frame that floor for us. And we're going to say we can change all the parts of that framing that we care to change, whether it's floor trusses or I-joists or things like that. And Xactimate will figure what it's going to take to replace that flooring. If we say this floor is framed. Let me show you what that looks like. here. So it puts all that automatic framing stuff in the main level of where you're at. But since I told Xactimate that room had a framed floor, it said, okay, well, we're going to put some eye joists in there. We're going to put some sheathing, some bottom plates. This is all automatic. I don't have to think about any of it. And automatic is the name of the game. Let's come back in here. So we know we got their dimensions correctly, right? We've documented this loss. We've measured this loss. Now we're going to scope this loss. And we're just going to play with this one room. Let's pretend that the walls and let's pretend this was gutted to the studs. There was a fire. This was gutted to the studs. Let's come in here and play with it. We can do a lot from here, and we're going to do some. We're going to drop some stuff tomorrow. But today we're just going to keep it simple, keep it top level. So if I wanted to, let's say this tile floor was gone. This thing's gutted to the studs. We're going to come back to scoping here. I'm going to come in here, go to my room, and let's do a tile floor. I don't know what a tile floor is in Xactimate, but that's why we have this search bar, right? This is a, let's call this a travertine and do a search and see what comes up. Travertine tile. Okay, maybe. Okay, just pick one. I'm going to do a premium grade. This is a nice house. Double click and look what Xactimate did for us. Xactimate pulled that out. That's the right one. And it put in F. Okay, what's F mean? F is the square footage of the floor. If you open up the calculator here, you can see all the available variables. Square footage of ceiling, square footage of floor, the height of the walls in feet, the length of the long wall, which is an interesting one to me. I hadn't found this for a long time. This is not a symmetrical room, right? This is a asymmetrical room. Just go down here and view. Measurements are on. Okay. I'm going to get rid of my underlay image to keep things simple. Okay, we see this room is 12'1" by 18'4", and I'll probably, there's very few rooms in the world that are 12'1", so I like to even it out. I like to round it to half foots. I like to round it to half foots. Let's round this to half foots. 18.5. So if we just had, we had baseboard along this wall, right? Let's pretend there's only baseboard along that one wall. And come back here into my estimate. And FNC baseboard, it's a big one. What's oversized baseboard? I thought that was it. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to go through all this in detail. I'm going a lot slower tomorrow.
E6.
Thanks. There you go. When in doubt, just open up this little window and start looking. Start looking. Maybe it's not 6. Maybe it's 5 1/4 stain grade. But it's not the whole perimeter of floor. It is LL. Look at that, 18.5. So the beauty of Xactimate, Xactimate is a graphical estimating system. It works really good once you get this part done. Once you get the sketch in, you can start pulling everything off of it. You can start pulling, let's do some paint. Let's P&T. Before you paint, you have to mask, right? MSK. Nah. Mask and prep for paint. There we go. I like this line item. Linear paper and tape by linear foot. And then we can choose, do we use the linear footage of the ceiling? Do we use the linear footage of the floor? Or do we use them both? I'm going to advocate, I've got to mask the ceiling line because the ceiling and the wall are two different colors. And I've got to mask the floor line. Let's assume the flooring is staying down for whatever reason. So I mask and prep. I do the perimeter of a ceiling plus PF, perimeter of floor. And Xactimate says that is 75 linear feet. And now we're gonna paint P&T, seal and paint. Two colors. Because even if it's the same color, it's a different sheen on the ceiling and the walls. If the painter knows what he's doing. So the measurement for walls and ceilings is WC. That's it. That is it. Let's cover that tile floor. Let's pretend the tile floor is staying down there. DMO PROT. No, I can't remember. But I have my search bar up here. Protect. Let's use heavy paper and tape. DMO mask S whatever. I don't have to memorize it. I just have to be able to find it. There we go. I masked the floor. Xactimate automatically assumed I was doing the whole floor. Then F. What if we're not doing the whole floor? Here's the other beauty of using these variables. We can do math on those variables. If we're only covering half the floor, guess what? F divided by 2 is half the floor. If I'm only doing half the walls divided by 2, right? And here's a common one. Once you do a flood cut, it should drywall or no. WTR. Let's assume there was already a flood cut. Okay, drywall, and then is it LF? Okay, so that's a repair for a 2-foot flood cut. Oh, that's a remove and replace. All right. Another item we're going to cover tomorrow. There's several different ways you can replace that item. You can remove that item. You can remove and replace that item. But let's say the demo's already been done. We're going to replace it. Okay. So, and I don't want to go into the texture conversation right now, but we're going to paint. Let's say we're going to seal and paint just the area that 2-foot flood cut is. All right. So how we do that math? Well, it's the perimeter of a floor, PF, times 2. Right. And then to just do, if we're just doing, we seal and paint the new drywall, right? But we're 2-coat painting the remaining drywall. So how do we do that? We do the walls minus PF times 2, right? Or you could do the calculate. You could just look right here and say walls minus whatever that number is, 68.33, to eliminate that overlap. Interesting. So there is all kinds of cool stuff that you can do. What I like, one of the great ones I like, I'm going to see if I can do it from here. Okay, so you can see on this floor, I've got all these rooms, right? What if this is a fire? I think Shannon was the one that did a fire recently, or Brianna. Brianna maybe did the fire. Anyway,
Yeah,
we'll say that again.
yeah, it was me.
Okay. most exterior walls have insulation, while most interior walls do not have insulation. So I used to be in a position where I'd have to come in here and I do INS-BT, let's do a 6-inch bat. And I would come in here, I'd select it, and I'd pick that wall, and then I'd pick that wall, and I'd pick that wall, and I'd pick that wall. I'm like, ugh. Because I didn't know there was another more efficient way to do it. Or I can finagle my mouse so all the exterior walls are selected and I could click it there, right? Let's just do that. Oh, not a typical. See, it's not going to let me do that, but it will let me select that wall. It's just cumbersome. But I didn't know any other way to do it until someone showed me the EW. Let's come back in here. Main level. What was that? What in INS BT 6, whatever we used. I think we used whatever. Doesn't paper. Okay, let's use that one. Exterior walls, EW. Boom. Easy peasy. I love EW. I'm in love with EW because it lets the computer program do my work for me. So once again, in here, you'll see all the available. You have different variables for different rooms. So not all these are highlighted. You see, I can't click on all these because right now I'm sitting in the main level here. I'm not in this, like this kitchen. I have all these variables I could choose from. But in the main level, I have different variables I can choose from. So
in order to use the EW tool, do you have to highlight it in Sketch like you did prior
no,
to this?
I didn't.
Or
I
does
didn't
it-
highlight it. I didn't highlight it in Sketch.
Okay,
There's nothing
Okay.
highlighted in Sketch right now.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I did it. I highlighted it just so you could see it. Tried to highlight it and it wouldn't let me lay it. But no, I just came over to estimate items. So I believe EW is available in individual rooms as well. INS BT 6. I don't care which one I use. Let's see if EW is available. No, it is not. So you have to use those exterior items on the main levels. On the main level is a misnomer. On the levels itself, you can see there's each room is on a level, and you come into Sketch, you can see it better. You've got level 2, 3, 4. Level 4. I'm going to delete level 4 before I really mess up my estimate. So in here, we can do exterior walls. What if we, what's another one? Well, you can just mouse over and see what these are. The linear exterior wall perimeter, linear feet. Okay, there's square feet exterior walls. There's a square feet of interior walls if you want to separate those out. And then total square feet of all floors. I wonder how that is different from square feet of floor. I wonder if that would be different. Let's do an experiment. Let's put in some carpet. FCC AV, whatever. I'm in the main level. You can see over here, I'm in the main level still. So F is 1200. Okay. This is not how you do carpet, by the way. We'll go into that tomorrow. And then let's do total square feet. What's the difference? I have no idea what the difference is. Why is it 40 square foot different? No clue. Interesting. Okay, so that gets us the room variables. You get good documentations and measurements, so you can get a good sketch, so you can use the room variables within Xactimate to do all the heavy lifting for you. And that's what it comes down to. When I see estimates that don't have calculations in here, I see an estimator that's burning himself out or herself out. Measuring everything by hand and calculating by hand and putting in actual measurements is just, may or may not be more accurate, right? If you're introducing human error into the equation, get a good sketch, be confident in those numbers, and then there's no more human error in any measurements. You just use your calculations. You use the room variables to do what you need to do. Okay, I am going to do a stop here. I'm going to pause the recording. Here we go. All right. I got my new fancy standing sitting desk. So let's talk real quick about what my setup is. When it comes to Xactimate estimating, having a lot of square footage of viewable screen is important. For the longest time, I had more than one monitor. I'd have one monitor for things like floor plans and photos and Matterport and things like that, and then I have a main screen to do all my estimating in Xactimate, instead of trying to switch windows and things like that. And what I ended up going back to or went to is I got a 4K TV. So I think this thing is 42 inches, but it's 4K. So you get enough, definition, you get enough pixels out of it. And so I can do everything here. I've got a program called Power Toys, Windows Power Toys, which enables me to automatically, I hold a shift button and it'll automatically map things to certain areas. So, I mean, I have my setup. I have a good setup, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do a lot of Xactimating, that's a word, I guess, you want to have enough area on a screen to work with to be efficient. So whether that's 2 monitors or 3 monitors, I know guys running 3 monitors. I don't understand that. I think some guys like to have 3 monitors because they're working off of 2, and then they have like an email or a calendar or something on another one. I would advocate that that's distracting. You don't need to have your email constantly there interrupting you is what it ends up happening. So 2 screens or 1 gigantic screen, do whatever works for you, but find a space and find so I've had a standing desk for a while, but yesterday I bought this nice one. This is super nice. This one over here, you can see it right there. There's a crank. So I would crank it up and then, let's crank it back down. But here is, yeah, it's good. You're not supposed to, I guess, standing desk, you're not supposed to stand for a long time, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I've been standing for over that, but anyway, that's my setup. I've got a remote, USB, Bluetooth, get up here. Got plenty of room to work. If I needed to take some notes, I would come over here, and I've got some room over here. But anyway, that's my setup. Okay, so Jake, you said it looks like Xactimate took FeeScan 3D and FeeSketch off. No, I don't think they did. Not to my awareness. I think that's newly added. Estimate Xactimate items, which I should just share my screen. I shouldn't be bouncing around off screen. Here we go. Let me see here. Okay, I got the Bend, Oregon Winter 21. Oh, that's not going to have it. Bend, Oregon Q3 22. That will have it. And then estimate items. I think it's still in here. Fee, scan. There it is. Scan 3D right there. Or sketch. This, I would use this line item, fee sketch, digitally derived third-party sketch for the floor plans and stuff I got out of Matterport or Hover. I would just charge straight through. Or I would put a markup on my cost, and that would be the number. So, you know, Xactimate minimum sketch file is going to be $150. I've paid over 1,000 before, but it was worth it. So I would put a markup on that cost and then put that cost right here. And then Scan 3D. This is more, in my opinion, is more if you're self-performing. And so just so you know, my rate professionally to do, here's my fees. Matterport, $775 flat, that's residential, or Matterport plus a sketch file, $1,500 flat. If I'm doing it commercially, I'm charging 28 cents a square foot. And I've had $13,000 bills that I've invoiced and gotten paid to sketch, you know, Matterport and sketch things like hotels. So choose what works for you. But I think Xactimate put this as a $0 item for a reason. So you can put, you know, they're not in a position to put a price on it. There's not enough data in the market for that. So put in what you believe is fair. I wouldn't be afraid to put in, you know, $750 a file if you're doing a Matterport or a Hover or, you know, stuff like that. Charge through, and there's a point to it. You know, some guys would be like, "Why you charge me for that? No one else charged me for that." Well, I would argue no one else is doing it. First off, and secondly, there was a time when we would charge for things like infrared cameras, right? Until infrared cameras became just commonplace and just tools of the trade, we charged for it. Now we don't. But this is different. This isn't just as simple as buying a camera. There are other things involved, right? There's other costs involved. There's subscriptions. There's per file fees. There's all kinds of stuff. So the infrared camera analogy doesn't hold up very well, in my opinion. Did I get everyone back? I feel like there's a lot of silence here. Is everyone back here? Just give me a yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Phew. I lost you. Okay, so that was a fee scan. What other question did we have? I'm just gonna. Okay, Matt says if you were removing drywall from, it's not Matt, is it? It's Brianna. Removing drywall from ceiling and shortest wall, is there a way to make it one line item? Yeah, it doesn't have to be 2 line items. Just do the calculation in the same. Let's find a room. We don't have a room in this one yet. Let's add a room. And let's slope it. Okay. Okay. So we want to remove, well, let's do it via sketch. What do you say? Now is it water?
It's fire.
Okay. So I would say drywall tear out in fire situation is HMR. You can get in that argument if you want, or you can just do it. You can see here's drywall. Okay, $3.21. But what's the regular? Is there a tear out item? Let's just do this. Water, drywall. Let's tear out drywall. Fine. clean bag for disposal. Okay. This is our short wall, right? Let's do, I'm zooming in here. You can see that that turns green. That's it says right here what the quantity is: walls and surface and wall surfaces and ceiling. That's not what I want. So I'm going to come closer to this wall surface. That's my short wall. I'm going to do that. This says wall surfaces. So this is both sides of this wall. But if I move up, just that wall surface 4. Okay, good. I'm going to come over to my estimate items, wall surface 4. I come into my calculation and say plus C. That's it. One line.
Okay, and in that situation though, because it says wet, is that going to be an argument? Because it wasn't wet?
Well, that's where I would advocate using the HMR
Mhm.
because it's a toxic. I mean, it's toxic. You got to wear PPE when you're doing that sort of demo after a fire.
Right.
So you can do it that way, HMR. Oh, there is no dry.
What
Does it
about
say
dry
dry?
LF and a negative sign?
You can do it here. There. There. And here's a secret. I mean, it will turn green in the estimate, but the green doesn't print out when you print out a PDF. So here, I would say tear out drywall instead of Cat 3. Just change it. Smoke.
Okay.
There. And then we lost our calculation, but WS, but it's still right here for me. 4.SF plus C. Done. Yeah, so you can see it turned to green because I changed the description.
Right.
It didn't turn the price green, just the description.
Okay.
And you're well within your rights to change the description of any line item to more accurately reflect the work that's being done. That's an
Okay.
Yeah, or you can just do demo. I think drywall, DRY, AV minus. No, how do you? Oh, it's half inch minus. That's just removal. And do the same calculation. But that's 81 cents a foot versus $33.21.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, if you're going to do that, there's insulation behind that. You know, it starts stacking. Okay, so what I'd like to do, let's see if there are any other questions. Well, drywall linear foot is for flood cuts. So it's either 4-inch, 2 foot, or 4 foot. All right, I don't see any other questions. Let's talk about a system, shall we? Here is, I've got a couple different versions of this, and I'll send it to all of you. When I sit down to estimate, I don't do it anymore because I've just gotten to a habit. You know, I got myself into a rhythm where this is all automatic for me. But until it is automatic for you, I want you to pick a system that you just work through. And these are nothing but simple checklists. And I tried to write them so they're in, you know, logical order of how you would do an estimate. But here's this one. You can see, you know, estimate setup. All the preliminary information goes in. The photos go in. General loss report doesn't apply to you guys. That's for IA work. Then you do the sketch, and then you add photos, and then you write your general conditions. and then you input your scope, and then you check all this other stuff. This one is a little bit more elegant, I think, but it also includes a CRM CRM portion, which is very specific to each one of your businesses. You're not all going to use the same file system. You're not all, all this stuff, but here's a checklist. You can go down every time you write an estimate. You do these things in this order, much like a 24-hour tech is intended to be done in that order. It helps eliminate missing things and forgetting things. So you find your scope notes. You make sure this goes into how you set up your actual file folders in your on your drive. Let me see if I have one, for instance. So you can see in almost all jobs we do over here at Claims Delegates, we have an estimates folder for us. We have a contractor folder. We have estimating documents. We have a folder for the carrier stuff. We have a folder for photos. Let me see what else we got. Let's just pick at random, sort of. Let's open that one. What's that say? So I've got photos and subcosts. That's not very complicated, but most jobs are going to have 4 or 5 different folders in them already. I've got an automated system that sets up most of these folders now. Some of these are pretty old, but that's not too old. But the point is, you're doing things in the same order, the same way. So they're repeatable, and quality control is the key. Doing things like label and rename photos inside in your job folder before you get them into Xactimate. That's a pain in the butt. Then you assign the estimator, apply the deductible, and blah, blah, blah. We're going to go through this in more detail tomorrow, but I just wanted to show you guys that. But as you can see from step number 2, locate scope notes. Let's develop the scope. When I talked about what goes into an Xactimate estimate: documentation, measurements, and scoping. Now we're going to get into scoping. This is where the lion's share of the work happens. Estimating into Xactimate should be a data entry function. It should be simple data entry. So all the hard work, all your homework happens on the job site, or sitting back, looking at your documentation, looking at your Matterport, looking at your photos, or whatever else you have. I advocate, even my estimators now, what people tend to do is they get a new job in, they get the Matterport or get whatever else, they get the photos, and they open Xactimate and they start scoping and estimating at the same time. That's a mistake, in my opinion. I advocate, get your scope out first. Get your scope somewhere else. Write it down, type it up, I don't care, but don't do it with Xactimate open, because Xactimate is so big and so complicated and so detailed, you can get pulled off track very easily. So nail your scope down first. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take the remainder of the time we have, and we're going to walk a job. I haven't decided which one yet. I'm going to decide that as I'm looking for it. We're going to walk a job, and we're going to write a repair scope. And I think we should write a mitigation scope as well, using the 24-hour tech, because that's just what I have. So let me share my screen again and come in here. So we're going to use, oh, I closed my 24-hour tech. Did I? No, I didn't. We're going to use this form. And we're going to use this form. And because I'm going to limit our scope to one page or one room, I mean, we're only going to need one of each of these. So what I'm going to do right now is print this out so I can write in it by hand. What page is this? Page 3 and page 4. Okay. Do you guys have access to this yet? That would be a question. Pages. And we're printing. Okay, would you like me to stop, put a link in and let you guys print this out? Why don't we do that? I'm going to work up a Google Drive link here. Scoping, new project package, I believe. That will get you what you need. Yes, new project package coming up. Let's share this. Share with Google Drive. Copy link. Here it is in the chat. Can I attach things? That'd be cool. Ah, okay. I can attach things. Let's see. I'm going to copy this to the desktop. Copy to desktop. I'm looking. New project package. Open. And there. Okay. All right. Let me know when you guys have. You don't need that whole thing printed out, but you can feel free to print the whole thing. You might as well just print the whole thing. Just print the whole thing. Let's not get complicated about it. And I'm going to go to. I'll look through my Matterport spaces here. Let's pick one. Why do I have two garners? I'm going to delete that one right now. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. This is a fire. It's a fire project. I'm still sharing. Okay. What room do we want to do? This particular fire started right here because this little scooter thing right there caught fire. Oh, that's too big. That scooter thing caught fire. It was plugged in, and they are lucky they didn't lose their entire house. But we should just do, is this bathroom been gutted? Yeah, let's scope this thing. Yeah, let's scope this. That's better. Huh. What do you know? my printer is out of ink. That's funny. Okay, I'm going to do this old school. I'm going to do a MIT scope first. Is everyone ready? I'm going to guess we could do this room. Okay, all we have to do in the next hour is get our scope written and we'll be done for the day and we can take questions. Let's do the entryway. Let's do entryway and bath. Let's try that. You guys let me know when you're ready to rock. Oh, Jake, I'm going to share the main folder again. There you go. Ooh, must be hot outside. The AC in here is having a hard time keeping up. Oh. All right, we ready, boys and girls? Ladies and gentlemen. Bueller, Ferris Bueller.
I'm ready.
All right. We are gonna move forward. Oh. There we go. All right. I'm going to start with, hopefully you can see us. This is the room notes sheet from the 24-hour tech mitigation documentation package. We're going to use 1/3 of this page. Well, let's do the entry here and this bathroom over here. So we're going to use 2 of these. Oh, I can fill this out right here. Interesting. I don't know how well that's going to work, but so this is the entryway. Yeah, it's not going to work at all. How this particular form works, you don't have to use it. If you got your own, use it. Is check boxes and circles mainly. So what I'm going to do, let's assume the fire department came in here and soaked this place, and then you guys were asked to come in and do the initial dry down, suck out, muck out demo, and then the repairs after that. So we are just concentrating on the emergency services portion for this point right here. So we're going to assume that was extracted, and where it was. It was, oh man. We're going to extract the whole floor. So what I do is extract, and I see this was tile. So I would say hard surface extraction. I put an X there, and then I would circle F. Okay. Contents moved. Yeah, let's put a 0.25 hours of contents. Cover and protect, probably not. Trim baseboard. Baseboard was removed, and it was, let's just go keep it easy. PF, we can use the same codes we use in Xactimate. So PF, perimeter floor. Crown, was there crown in this house? Nope. Okay. Casings, yes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 openings. And I say door openings are about 17 linear foot, aren't they? No, yeah, give or take. So I would say casings 17 times 4. Once again, don't fall in love with it. Doesn't have to be precise. Okay, and then drywall. Let's I don't think they went far enough. Let's remove all the drywall in this room. So that's just a big old W and a W ceiling. Insulation. I've got a checkbox here where I can use the same numbers. I think this ceiling was insulated. Maybe. Yeah. I guess not. So for this number over here, where's it? Insulation. Let's just put EW, exterior wall. Okay. I guess here, EW. Floor demo. Yes, that floor demo. That was a tile you can see here. Would it be helpful if you guys had the link to this so you could do it yourself or walk it through yourself? Because I can do that. Anybody? Any takers? There you have it, just in case you were curious. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, floor demo. It was none of the above. It was tile. I'm just going to write down tile. All cabinets, there was no cabinets. Doors detached. One door detached. Oh, and then appliances. We didn't pull any appliances in here. Okay, so I got our extraction. Okay, in equipment, this is where I list equipment. Let's pretend there was some drawing done here. So I'm gonna do air movers, air mover 1, and it was set whenever. Oh man, I can't even think anymore. I've been talking too long. And it was picked up 728. And we had air mover 002, 721, picked up 728. And we had DHue, which is a XXL 721. Okay, that's really it for that room. For demo, can you guys think of anything else that, well, insulation. Oh, we already have insulation pulled out. Got the casings, got the baseboards.
What about antimicrobial?
Yeah, I mean, you think we would have used it? Sure. Just put an X there. Oh, I can check that box. Wait, that one's a checkbox. Oh, I gotta work on this form. It was not intended to be used on a computer. This was intended for pen and paper. Okay.
Any containments?
Wow, this is a bad fire. No, I think containment would have been a waste of time and effort since the fire already happened. But we could let's put an AFD in there. For let's do a day. For those of you not in the know, it's an air filtration device, negative air machine. Always recommended when you're doing drywall demo, especially on a fire. Okay, let's go into the bathroom. This is going to be bathroom. And then same extraction. Okay. F. Okay. This is the entry. And then the bath. Extract floor. Contents, sure. 0.25 contents. Cover and protect, no. Trim, baseboard's going to be perimeter floor. No crown, no tack strip. Casing is going to be 17 plus 10. They should have pulled that. I would like to see this room demoed, just given the nature of the smoke and stuff. So I'm going to say we demo this room as well. So drywall, walls and ceilings, insulation, exterior walls, floor demo. It's not on here, but it is tile. Cabinets. We did have lowers. I'm assuming there was a vanity in here. And it's probably close to this many feet. 2'9". You want to make it a 3-foot vanity? Let's make it a 3-foot vanity. Okay, so where's my lower? 3. And then appliances and fixtures. We have a sink for sure. Oh. Nothing else in there. And we probably had an air mover for the same dates. But no DHU. Oh, I keep bouncing. What else? Where's my toilet? Oh, there's a toilet. What else? What else? There is something in here that should be in here.
What about countertop?
Say that again?
Countertop?
Well, it comes with a vanity usually. So down in here, I'm going to make notes. We're going to need something's not in here. So we're going to just go emergency service charge. We're going to have a toilet drain block. There's a word for that I can't miss. And then PLM stoppers, shark bites for the shut-off valves. I can't remember what that's called. Stop valves. We'll find it. There's a specific item in Xactimate to stop off these valves. This was not a job I did because I would be screaming at the contractor. You gotta, that's just gonna leak. Just ask. I think the homeowner was doing this. Okay, so I'm looking around here and I think I shorted myself some trim because we had trim on both sides of this door. Yep, and this door. So I'm gonna come over here, 17 times 2 plus 10. Okay. Anyway, leave the closet alone. It's going to be the same thing. Let's just do that. Let's stop there. And we removed a slab. There, where's my slab? Doors detached, 1 slab. Okay, so we got our equipment. We got some notes for emergency service charge and blocking off the drains, shut off valves. I think that's it. Anything else you can think of that should have happened in this room for emergency services? Oh, we removed a light. Just removed a light. I don't think there's a spot on my notes form for lights, so just make a note. Remove light.
What about removed outlet switch cover?
Well, we're assuming we demoed this place to the studs, so that's going to come off with that function. And we're going to replace that whole setup. Somebody's calling me from Kalispell. Okay, we're going to replace that whole thing with the repairs. Same thing with the switches. And because of the nature of the fire, we're probably going to end up replacing that fart fan. And window coverings. I'm just going to make a note for window coverings. We'll see what Xactimate has for that. What else? I think that's going to be about it.
Did we get the mirror?
Oh, mirror. Good call. Good catch. It's hard doing these after the fact when you weren't the one that actually did it. So yeah. Mirror.
And the blinds as well.
Yep. Window coverings. There. And I'm sure there's going to be something else that we're going to catch when we actually input this into Xactimate. But the purpose of this is not to be perfect and catch everything. It's just to get the majority of it down on paper so we don't get distracted when we go to enter it into Xactimate. All right. So we got our emit scope for both of these rooms. Now this, what does this end up at? I forget the name on this one. What was the name of this one? Braden. So Braden, just so you guys know, where's my... Let me tell you where this one ended up. I forget his first name. What was his name? Eric. Okay. Okay. This one ended up $225,000. That's where this one ended up. Okay, so we've got an actual one to go check our work tomorrow after we do our work. Okay, now let's go down to scope notes. For room notes, I like to have a page per room. And this one, since my printer ran out of ink, I'm going to do it both on the same page. But first one's going to be the entryway. And going down, just following the form, subtrades and equipment. What are we going to do overarching in this room as far as equipment and trades? I like to put my deodorization in here. So I'm just going to put deodorization, deodorize. And what else? Nothing's jumping out at me. Okay, framing and structure. Are there any? This siding was damaged. Sheathing was damaged. Let's just put it in here. I'm pretty sure I put it in the exterior portion when I wrote this estimate, but we can put it in here. So let's do 1/2-inch OSB. And 2 sheets. All right, 64 square foot. Okay. And then framing and structure where I put insulation. So I'm going to put INS BT6 just because I know the code, but you can handwrite, just if you don't know the codes, just write bat insulation 6-inch. Do whatever you got to do to get the information down. Okay, what else? Help me out here. In just the structure and framing, insulation, sheathing. That's it for now. We can always come back to that section. Okay, floor was ceramic tile. I'm thinking that's ceramic tile. What do you think? Or is that is it granite? I'm going to say granite tile. So what I'm writing is granite tile plus mortar bed. Think we need to replace any of this subfloor. Let's do a sheet of subfloor. Okay. Subfloor, one sheet. And I'm going to come back to the framing and structure. We're going to clean stud wall. All. And then we're going to seal. Seal for odor, stud wall, all. And plus, just going to put plus joist, plus ceiling joist. Okay. All the HVAC items I'm going to do separately, or I did them separately in a different section. I didn't do them individually. We ended up just tearing all the HVAC out of this house. Okay, back to our floor. Anything else on the floor? Style point. I don't know. Do you put baseboard on the floor or baseboard on the wall? I put it on the walls. So I'm going to say walls. Baseboard. I bet that was MDF. Yeah. Could be paint. Could be paint gray. No, I think that's MDF. And that's 2 1/4. 2 1/4 MDF. Plus PNT. And then my measurement is okay, so just so you guys know, I'm going to stop share real quick. This is what that note looked like on my end. Yeah, just nice and easy. Baseboard, 2 1/4 inch MDF plus paint, perimeter of floor. That's just, yeah, and the rest of my notes, not super fancy, just get it down. Get it down on paper. So we got our baseboard. Now we're going to come back and do our drywall. Well, no, let's do insulation first. No, I already got the insulation and framing. Okay, so drywall, 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to put all. In this room, I'm going to rewire. Okay, back up to sub trades and equipment. I'm going to do an ELE rewire. But in the wall, how many outlets did we have? None, probably. Is that rigid? That's rigid foam. I did not see that. Interesting way to do that. Why? Oh, I bet that's draft block. Another reason I love Matterport. Oh. Oh, can't quite. Is that the same section? Come here. Hard to say. All right. Well, let's make a note for ourselves in the walls, just kind of a rigid foam board. And let's call it eleven square foot. Okay. So we got drywall. We rewired. No, okay. There's probably 3 switches there. Because you got the outside lights, the inside lights, probably a couple different inside lights. So I'm just gonna say 3 switches. And then we probably had a light. Where's my box? There's one. Just the one. Okay, what was it? Let's see. Can light? That didn't look like a can light. That was not a can light. It could have been. Maybe no, was not a can light. Whatever. One light. Let's replace the HVAC, vent plus supply. Okay, I'm gonna replace that door. Exterior door. Metal with glass plus side light. And then that window, I'm assuming took heat. That looks to be a vinyl window. Vinyl window with grid. And then I'm just going to put a note for casings. And I'm going to say door times 3, right? And the front door, this door, and that door. Oh, that door. And window times 1. All right, I wrote my light on the wall section, and obviously it's not on the wall, it's right there. So doesn't matter. We'll catch it when we write it. Okay, we're done with the walls. Anyone else see any scope of damages in the walls? So believe it or not, scoping this, what we're doing right now, is the hardest part of being an estimator. Xactimate is not the hardest part of this. The hardest part is thinking through this loss and not only seeing what needs to be replaced, but anticipating what needs to be done in order to get that thing replaced. This one happens to be pretty straightforward. Okay, I can't think of anything else right now in this moment. But even if we don't catch everything, we're going to get clues tomorrow to stuff that we probably missed. All right, ceiling is going to be drywall. It's probably 1/2 inch, even though I like to go 5/8 on my ceilings. Oh, it could be 5/8 actually. Oh, we forgot to paint the drywall and the walls plus paint. So the ceiling is drywall plus paint, but that is going to be 5/8. Yeah, that's just a regular old knockdown. Heavy machine texture, nothing fancy. And we got a smoke detector. The HVAC vent was up there, not in the wall. Oh, you know what else we have is rounded corners. So make a note for yourself somewhere in the drywall. Rounded corners. And were these, are these drywall wrapped or trimmed? That's casing, that's sill. Okay, I think that's that.
Do it again.
Say what?
Oh, sorry, off stock.
Okay, let's just jump into the bathroom. Okay, bathroom, we're going to deodorize. We're going to do a rewire as well. And subtrades, I'm going to call plumbing a subtrade. So we're going to do a new toilet, TLT plus seat. We're going to do angle stops times 3. We're going to do a vanity, 3 foot plus sink plus faucet. We're going to, okay, framing and structure. We're going to do insulation in the walls, ENS BT6 exterior wall. We're going to replace this window. And here's what I do. If I'm already replacing this window, I'm not going to try to figure it out twice. So I'm going to skip down to the wall section and say same window as entry. That way I can just copy and paste. Once I do it for the entry, I just copy and paste it over. Okay, insulation. No exterior. Okay, we are going to clean the stud wall. Clean stud wall. All plus choice. And then seal Stud wall. All. Okay, floor was same as entry. Easy. Walls. Let's see here. Let me show you what I do sometimes, especially when I get into bigger ones. So you see, I already have drywall baseboard in the entry. I just drew an arrow. Same thing. Drew an arrow right over to my what I'm using for the space for my bathroom. I don't have to write it again. I'm just throwing it over there with an arrow. Okay, floor is the same, walls, same there. Window, I'm throwing up there with an arrow. Okay, so we do have we have two interior doors. And these are probably just colonist 6 panels. Let's go find one. So this particular job I did with 2 different cameras. You can see this one is the Pro 2. It's clear. It's like real clear. And I can zoom way in, like way in, right? But I took some shots in here the next day with the Theta. Let me see if I can get up there. And this, you can see just a little bit less clear. The Theta is looking down at the Matterport Pro 2. But I don't know why I decided to do it like that. I think more I was just playing around to see if I could do that. But yeah, you can do 2 different cameras on the same scan and it still turns out. But to answer our door question, that is a 6 panel. Easy. Interior doors times 2, 6 panel. Okay, so we got our toilet, right? Toilet seat, vanity, sink, faucet, angle stops. We got drywall, we got paint, we got baseboard, we got the window, and we need trim. Where's the casings? I'm just going to say casings, 2 door, 1 window. Oh yeah, switches. 2 switches. Yeah. 2 switches. 1 outlet. And I'm gonna put that a GFCI in there, even though that one isn't, but I'm assuming we're going to be required to put one in. And a bath fan. And an HVAC vent. What do you think? Think we covered it? So between the Matterport and our notes here, we are going to pretty much cover it. let me show you a cool feature of Matterport that I like to use. These are called matter tags, this blue thing. And I just noted this for whoever's going to review this, that the HVAC was directly above the fire source. The entire system is contaminated. Just giving notes. And then what I really like to do is hit U. Copy that to clipboard. So this creates a link to look at whatever you want to draw attention to. So I call out something in an estimate. Oh, there we go. And I can use this link. You can hyperlink this into an Xactimate estimate. It prints out in the PDF and it's linkable. And you can click on it. But I just copied that link. I'm going to come over here and put it in a new window. Paste it in a new window. And it goes eventually. Boom. Right where I took that, essentially a snapshot. So I can call out any section of this house. If I want to call out the kitchen or something, this link constantly changes to kind of GPS you where you are. And all you do is copy that and you paste it wherever you want it, wherever you want to use it. I've had it where, all right, let's wrap this up. A scope. We good with the scope so far? You guys see anything else that I missed? Didn't write down? All right, I'm going to do a little show and tell, Matterport show and tell for you then. There is this hotel, not that one. This hotel, or not a hotel, it's a hospital that all 5 floors were affected. I think this was a $200,000 mitigation, maybe a little bit more. But since I knew it was going to be contested, I decided we're going to Matterport the whole thing and we're going to document it to the 9s. I couldn't do all the floors in one scan, but I did link them using matter tags. So inside this matter tag here, you can see a link to the 4th floor or the 4th floor floor plan, which comes up right there. Oh, I'm going to move this so I can actually get to it. Or we can go to the 4th floor and it'll go boom right there. And now we're on the 4th floor. We're walking through this thing. Or I can go back to the lobby. So the ability to really walk adjusters through these things and call out what you want them to look at using Matterport is just, I don't know, I'm not aware of another system that really has the usability that Matterport does. Yeah, there are a couple sections, where I put these big air scrubbers in the estimate on the 1st floor where this air scrubber is. I put a link that takes them right to this actual picture and shows them that's the air scrubber that was planted. It's just fun. I like documenting things at this level. And that was a big loss. I like how it opens up in the same window. It didn't used to do that. That changed. But anyone walking this can get their own floor plan so they can double check the measurements. But this was one of those where, it was well over $1,000 worth of sketch files that I bought from Matterport for this. But when you're, talking about $250,000 worth of mitigation, it's well worth it. It might have been more than that. Now I think about it, but all right, let's open it up. We got a couple more minutes. You made it. Congratulations, you made it through your first day. No one died that I know of, at least on screen. So tomorrow we're going to take these two. We're going to take these two scope notes, and we're going to do an image underlay sketch. And we're going to practice our sketching, and then we're going to input this scope into Xactimate and wrap it up and finish it up. So, any questions? There's got to be questions, unless you guys are sleeping. Okay. Yep, that's all the notes I have.
Do you think tomorrow you could walk us back through showing us how to, where to click to bake the codes in? Or bake in the profit?
Yeah, we could review that. Yeah, for the price list.
Yeah, how we go in, where we go to click to change it?
What do you mean click to change it?
I mean, where you click to go to do all that?
Oh, yeah, that link, the pricing link.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to paste it here too. Pricing.exactware.com/editor. It might just be pricing.exactware.com. Wait, I'm not sharing anymore. Where am I at? Got so much stuff here. There. Oh, sounds like Brianna had some technical issues. Well,
there we go.
this will be recorded. Oh, it's being recorded right now, but it's not going to be live online for a couple days. But the beauty is we're going to walk through this whole scope tomorrow when we put it in Xactimate. And so tomorrow we'll have the Matterport open, and we'll have our scope notes, and we'll do the do. So, all right, y'all. Have a good night. I know it's late
Thank
for you
you.
guys on the East Coast time, so I appreciate you hanging with us. We'll see you tomorrow, and tomorrow we start at 9 a.m. Pacific, and then we'll get you out the door by noon, hopefully. We'll see. All right, we'll see you.